Okay, everybody. We're doing a show. Please be quiet. Late night lately theme song in three, two. And welcome back to Late Night Lately. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the late night podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I'm turning myself down and I'm turning the monologue up. Guess who didn't write a monologue today? Let's see if I can if I can go ahead and squeak one out for you. I didn't write down the monologue, but I did write down 5 topics for jokes. Let's try this. Let's see if I got something down. If I can't get it down in 2 minutes, then I'll just move right on. And everybody loves it when I do this so much. Tucker Carlson visited Russia. This is 2 weeks. This is 2 weeks ago. Tucker Carlson visited Russia, where it was rumored that he might have the first interview with Putin in a couple of years, and he's getting that brown nose ready. He's dipping it. Thank goodness it was just Valentine's Day, because he dipped it in chocolate, and he's ready to shove it up Putin's butt. The interview already happened. Okay. A federal court says Trump doesn't have presidential immunity when it comes to if he's going to be able to be charged. And you know what also he doesn't have anymore? $350 million, because today it was decided that he has to pay that and he can't run his business for 3 years. Very true. It's not a joke. It's just a statement. Tiger Woods returned to the PGA Tour with the Genesis Invitational, where he shanked on the 18th hole on the first day. And you know what also he shanked? Is his relationship with his first wife. I shouldn't have said that. That was very mean. I feel very bad. The cast for, I don't know who wrote this down, the cast for the new Fantastic Four movie was just announced. It includes internet zaddy Pedro Pascal, and if you're just as mad at that cast as I am for saying the word zaddy, then we're in the same league. Don't be mad at that cast. It's a good cast. And finally, Greece legalizes same-sex marriage. Unfortunately, it is to only Mediterranean diets. The mix. I don't know. I lost it. That was a monologue. Let's move on. I got a lot of videos to talk about. That's mainly why I didn't have a chance to write monologue jokes. The thing is, I record this on Fridays now, and whereas I used to also record Constitutionals on Fridays, but now that comes out on Thursdays, and I record on Thursdays. Constitutionals is the entertainment business podcast. The original podcast, 280 episodes. Big deal. Should be more, but I stopped for a little bit. I was depressed. Still am. But it was hard to either I had to get the videos together or I got to get the monologue together, and I made the choice. But this is a better impromptu monologue than what usually happens. Okay. Colbert did a live-ish episode of his show at the after the Super Bowl, which was was unexpected for me. Usually, when the Super Bowl happens on whatever broadcast network, one of the big four, it is a side note. This is a side note. Yesterday, the boss of the CW, the new boss of CW, said, "We want to be a Big Five network," and I just went, "No, it can't happen. I'm so sorry." Because CW just canceled basically all their shows except for All American. They gave one last season to Superman and Lois. I just don't think they have Live Golf. I don't think they have the caliber to become a Big Five, because they mostly run reruns. Anyway, back to late night. Colbert did a post-game super monologue, is what they called it. And it was, again, unexpected. So anyway, these broadcast networks, they typically run their new episodes of whatever show that they want to promote. So this season it was, one year was on Fox, it was Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the Super Bowl episode of that. When he was on NBC, it was Stress Relief, one of the funniest episodes of The Office ever. And this year it was Tracker, as well as they threw in Stephen Colbert's Late Show and After Midnight, and they were fantastic. Especially After Midnight. I just can't believe that they even did that for that show. And I hope the ratings are good. I mean it. Even though After Midnight still has a lot of speed bumps to get over. Yeah, a couple. And his monologue was good. And then Jon Stewart was, he wasn't really interviewed, but he did hang out there. So Jon Stewart popped back up, and that was a nice surprise for people. And then After Midnight, Wayne Brady, we'll get to Jon Stewart in a second. Wayne Brady was on After Midnight alongside Kevin Smith and Maria Bamford. And it was a football-themed episode, and they commented on, I say live-ish for Colbert and for After Midnight, because they were essentially live, or live to tape. I guess they all shot during Tracker, and they did jokes. And that's amazing, and I loved it for it. So that was good. Let's see. I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row here. Rob Huebel popped back up, and he was wearing a Tuxedo shirt, which is a hint at Tuxedo Guys, which is amazing. I can't believe Tuxedo Guys is a long-running bit. I think it was him, Paul Scheer, and maybe like one or two other comedians who were on at midnight, and they just did a joke about they're shooting a show called Tuxedo Guys, and they're wearing tuxedos. It was fantastic. Anyway, I love that he popped back up, and that's for fans of that show. There's one thing I want to mention about After Midnight. The audience is too rowdy. It's way too rowdy. Even the stuff during the week. It's way too rowdy, and it's pissing me off. I don't want to hear this hooting and hollering. It's still a late night show. I don't care if we're interacting with the audience at some points, if Taylor is. We need to calm that down, because that was my least favorite part about At Midnight, was when Chris would say one thing and then people would go wild for it. So yeah, there you go. There's that. Let's see. Okay, so Jon Stewart returned for his first monologue back at the Daily Show, and I gotta tell you, it was good. I enjoyed it. But I don't want to get too deep into this, but it's still Jon Stewart, and it's an older version of Jon Stewart, and it's him for better or for worse. You know, you can say like, hey, I miss Jon Stewart, but it's still him. It's still him, and he's still gonna say the same things over and over again, and kind of get down in a whisper, and it's unfunny, and say like wild, like not inaccurate, but like wild statements that just kind of don't make sense. But he's a funny guy, and I'm so glad that his monologue was long, 20 minutes, and he was able to tell these jokes about Biden and Trump and really just kind of bring everybody together on those points. Oh my gosh. But it was good. Okay. We'll talk more about him in a second. And then Jordan Klepper hosted the rest of the week, which is what they'll be doing. And he was good. And people, I try not to read online discourse, and it was interesting. You know, he should have his own show, and it sucks that the opposition did not last. I'm sorry, I was typing something out, so that's why I'm a little bit distracted. But it's good that he's been able to. The Daily Show has been able to afford him, as well as his coworkers, the ability to host essentially their own shows for a little bit. I still think Dulce Sloan has been shortchanged when it comes to hosting the Daily Show. She did not finish out her week before the strikes hit, and she still hasn't gotten that chance to really shine. But Klepper hosted, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at a Jon Stewart video, and he had great guests along with him. He had Killer Mike, who I think in this interview talked about he and his wife are looking for a third, and he jokingly was like, I think he jokingly said that, but it was like Taylor Swift. That was pretty funny. And what else happened on the Daily Show? I just want to go over some other things that happened on the Daily Show. They were posting Jon Stewart clips all week long. Okay, let me just finish these videos, recommended videos. Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton duetted on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Kimmel had a pretty good week, and the Tonight Show had JB Smoove on, and JB Smoove is like truly just one of my favorite people. He's such a funny guy. I love him so much, and he's so funny. I don't want to do this too much and too often, but in terms of guests for the week, I think Kimmel had a really good set of guests. He had Fortune Feimster and America Ferrera, who popped up in an Oscars Land video, like kind of like a Barbie-ish video for Kimmel a day or so before her interview, and it had Kate McKinnon, Ryan Gosling, and it was kind of like a promotion for him hosting the Oscars, which was really good. Kimmel also really excels in his monologues. I don't like the man on the street stuff that they do, where it's like, I think this week on Valentine's Day they had, can you guess your partner's hand in this hole? Can you figure out if it's them or not? And I don't really like that stuff, and I don't like when he talks about The Bachelor, but he does a really good job at commanding the audience when he's out there in statehood talking. Fallon kind of had a quiet week. He had the likes of Amy Schumer, JB Smoove, and Tyler Perry, but the games, I don't know if the games are doing well for this show anymore. They don't get as many views as I think that they'd want, but I think views for late night on YouTube in general are down. Besides Colbert's monologues, besides Kimmel's monologues, besides Seth's closer look segments, nothing really gets viewers. And then there's Jon Stewart's whatchamajigger, his thing. After Midnight had, I think, before I get to Jon Stewart, I think After Midnight had the best week it's ever had. Not like the Super Bowl was just a huge step for them, at least in my eyes. And then on Valentine's Day, they had amazing, like just a very good set of people. In fact, they were all couples of different orientations. They had including Britannic, if you know them. I know them from YouTube, but they are a comedy duo. Who did YouTube stuff years and years and years ago, and they were very funny guys, and it was surprising to turn on the episode on Thursday and see those two guys and go, Britannic, oh my god. They also had like I said earlier, Maria Bamford, and went with Wayne Brady and Kevin Smith. I'll say Josh Smith. I know a guy went to school named Josh Smith. Ricky Lindholm and Lauren Lapkus and Ashley Nicole Black. I mean, it's just a who's who of comedy people. Seth had on Beanie Feldstein and let's see who. I never get her name right, but she's a fantastic actress. Geraldine Viswanathan. There we go. Jake Tapper, Chelsea Peretti. Tapper, Seth is a lot like when what's his name? When Colbert started out, he was doing, he would interview famous people alongside Ted Cruz and the creator of Bumble and things of that nature. And Seth really excels in that same fashion, talking to business people and news people, because he's able to make that conversation funny in ways that Colbert really isn't. No offense to Colbert, but he's also very knowledgeable about stuff when he talks to Chris Hayes or Katie Tur or Jake Tapper. All right, let's talk about Jon Stewart. This was the return that I think people would have expected. Jon Stewart is again, for better or worse, it was more or less him, Jon Stewart, doing his whole business thing. And he's a very funny guy, but sometimes a lot like these other hosts, you can just say something that just doesn't make sense or doesn't work, or go off on tangents. And for him, he kind of gets in a way that he will just say something that is a statement, and he'll need you to take it as such. He'll need you to take something that he says as a statement and it's true, and you can disagree with him if you want, but he will say that he's right over and over again. And with that, he said some things about Biden alongside Trump, but he said things about Biden that were just true and really worked, and it really made sense. And if he doesn't, I'll say this, and this is so stupid, but this is where we are as a society, and people who take in and watch and read and listen to anybody who's in front of a microphone, or anybody that you like or enjoy. And we often have these parasocial relationships with the people who we're listening or watching or reading, and nothing can get past them. Gayle, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up. Gayle King, I was watching something, and she was talking, oh God, who was she talking to? It was on CBS Mornings, so I will go to their YouTube channel. But she was talking to the person about it was a political interview, and she said, I forgot who she was talking. I'm right now I'm trying to multitask. I'm scrolling and running through who she's talking. But whoever she was talking to, she asked the question, do you think Jon Stewart has any sway over the election? What he says, because they did interview Jon Stewart on CBS Mornings, and holy cow, this must be their highest viewed video, because there's a video where they are talking. They're at CBS Mornings is at the Super Bowl, and it's 11,000 views, and then this video has 1 million. But she asked, does he have any sway over who people choose to vote for in the election? And I think that that is a very true thing, and he does for better or worse. He does have kind of that push, in the same way that when Hillary was running, and I think the weekend before the election, the FBI, was it the FBI? Or no, James Comey came out and said, released that information about, not her emails, but he released some information about Hillary, and people, I think, the ones who were easily persuaded, who didn't, like the Ken Bones of the world, who still were undecided, were like, I'm going to vote for Trump, or not vote at all, or vote third party, or vote Green Party, or whatever. And in this case, there's still a lot of people who listen to Jon Stewart and everything he has to say, and they're right up the middle, and he will have some type of tick. Nothing big. I'm not going to say like he can choose, like he's going to say everybody needs to vote for Biden, or everybody needs to vote third party because XYZ, and then that's going to take away 13% of Biden's votes and allow for Trump to win. That, I don't think that's going to happen. But he does, whatever he does say will have some type of momentum for the candidate. Not in the same way that Taylor Swift can say, we need abortion access for women, and you should vote for the candidate that supports abortion. And because that would move needles. That truly would move needles. Same thing with Ariana Grande, Beyonce, like that moves needles. I don't know if Nicki Minaj's Barbies have that type of pull. But Jon Stewart being on Monday, even once a week, being on is going to help or hinder the election in some way, in some fashion. And he was good, and that's what I want to get across. Is even there's parts about him I do not like at all, but he was so good at really running that stage and everything. This comes from Deadline, written by Peter White. Jon Stewart reveals why he wanted to return to The Daily Show. And he said as much on his CBS Mornings interview, but he joked, who better to comment on this election than someone who truly understands two aging men past their prime. So in his CBS Mornings interview, Stewart said he hopes to have a catharsis and a way to comment on things and a way to express them that hopefully people will enjoy. And I mean, that sounds like the most vanilla, middle of the road answer, but he's right. I think, without the problem with Jon Stewart, that was kind of a godsend, that cancellation, that Apple revealing that since he was going to comment on things that are happening in China and them canceling it, them getting over creative differences and them canceling it, that opened him up to be somewhere where it's going to be a lot easier and basically a little bit more creative freedom to comment and talk about things like China. Just because you would suggest that being on Apple, being on a streaming service will give you a lot more freedom, but in some ways, The Daily Show, his home ground is a lot more freedom than the 4 or 5 episodes that The Problem with Jon Stewart would have afforded him for 45 minutes or so. But as far as influence, he says, just about everything I wanted to happen over the 16 years that I was at The Daily Show did not happen if you were hoping for influence. And again, but I still think we're at a different time now. People are listening. 16 years is a long time without the internet, like without the internet we have today, where everything's so fast and people are easily influenced. He says he comments on Jen Flans, who's been there for a very long time, and she runs that show pretty well. Now this one comes from Variety, written by Salome Hailu. The show, Jon Stewart popping up on The Daily Show, was a huge boost for the show. I call TV shows company. TV shows are companies, no big deal. He brought in 1.9 million viewers. Oh, I've been saying all week 1.23. It was 1.33. So he brought in 1.9 million viewers, the biggest episode since 2018. 930,000 tuned in via Comedy Central, while the rest were in simulcasts on CMT, Logo, MTV, MTV2, Paramount Network, Pop, and TV Land. I'll tell you this, the next morning after I was, so on Tuesday morning, I watched The Daily Show. The version that recorded on YouTube TV for me was MTV, because I saw the MTV studios and I went, why am I watching MTV right now? I don't even know if I have it visible. I do have it visible on my thing. Not MTV2 though. I should. It shows that The Daily Show has been There's a lot of things that this brings to light. The Daily Show has been lacking a host. Roy Wood Jr. was on The Assignment, I think. What is that? What it's called? Audie Cornish's show. Let me triple check because this is going to bother me. Yes, The Assignment. If you're watching the video, you'll see The Assignment on my phone, and where he talked to where Audie Cornish talked to Roy Wood Jr. about The Daily Show and the future of comedy, and Roy Wood Jr. just point blank said, it was like, hey, Hassan had the show and it was ready to go, and then that whole BS happened with that hit piece, and it was a hit piece, and then the show kind of went into a limbo. Even during the strikes, the show was in a limbo where they couldn't figure out what to do with the hosting, and now they've landed on the schedule of Stewart on Mondays and then the correspondence during the week. Could you imagine if they were still doing celebrity guest hosts during this year? Oh my God, this show would be in such flux. Have no offense to those people, but I don't want to have Leslie Jones hosting on October 15th when the election's in less than a month. I'm like, all right, guys, let's get something going. Similarly, they canceled the nightly show a year before a big election, and look where we landed then. As if that show had any sway or viewers. I was one of them. I did a lot of issues with that show. I did have a lot of issues with that show. So Jon Stewart, he did a good job. He did well, and he really brought back, I say, this familiar feeling. I tagged in that. If you click through the URLs that I tag in this podcast, he brought back familiar feelings for this show, and it works. And I enjoyed seeing him. But what I don't want to happen is for us to get lost in what this guy says all the time. I think it'd be best if we also focus on the correspondence and what they bring to the table. when there's a video where they obviously couldn't include everybody, but during that first episode, Stewart basically was talking to the best effing news team, and it's which includes Ronnie, Desi, Jordan, Dulce, and Michael, but it didn't include the two newest people who were brought on board before the strikes happened, whose names I can't seem to remember right now. But they were there this week. Well, one of them was the male, the guy who they hired was there. Let me find out. Let me find out these people, because now I feel bad for not getting their names right or there at all. Lewis Black is still there, I think. So that's pretty cool. Okay, who are the current Daily Show correspondents? Troy Iwata and Grace Kohlenschmidt. So they both were there. They were hired in October, or they started in October. And it's also very interesting to see on Paramount Plus and on this YouTube channel that they're advertising the Daily Show, but they're calling it the Daily Show Mondays with Jon Stewart. The Daily Show on the bottom, Mondays with Jon Stewart. The Mondays have to do well. Oh, Grace was there last night. Okay, so I didn't watch last night's episode. The Mondays have to do well in order for this show to continue, essentially. Because if this doesn't do well, I don't know what's going to happen. And Paramount's, chopping heads left and right. But Jon Stewart's back, and we're gonna be with him all year long. Let's hope that this new set of writers, and also he takes what he learns from his past set of writers at the Problem with Jon Stewart, who were young and queer and diverse. The only reason I know that is because A, they showed them on the behind the scenes stuff periodically, and B, I also sent in a packet for that show. It's very true. I sent in a packet. I wouldn't be having a job right now. I'd be in New York without a job, but I'd be so happy. I'd be like, yeah, I was writing on a TV show. But let's hope that he takes stuff that he learned from them, and then he also is learning from this new set of writers who worked with Trevor and who worked with these guest hosts, because he still has some things to learn in this new world of daily/weekly late night shows. He can say, yes, I did this for 16 years, but it's now different. If Letterman came back, he would have to learn how to do stuff for online. And he's kind of is. He's on that Letterman YouTube page, which I wish the Conan page was more like. They're uploading the clips of the old shows, as well as new stuff with him commenting on Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, or commenting on the Apple Vision Pro, whatever it is. And he's still a funny guy. And so Stewart kind of needs to take a page out of Letterman's book when it comes to all that. And even Colbert has been great in this transition. He's done the old school, now he's in the new school, and he's had a fantastic job. Fallon was kind of in the middle there. And he's done this hard turn, just like Corden, into TikTok and Instagram and stuff, and it's worked. It's paid off. And Kimmel's the same way. Kimmel, I think, is kind of timeless in his way, where he can fit in with his online crowd, but also, it's his long monologues and his bits with the outdoor people, even though I don't like it that much, are still very good. But hey, we're done. Conan, if you're listening, I know you're not, please separate your podcast stuff from the late night stuff. I don't watch that podcast stuff. Thank you. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to your favorite people in the entertainment industry. I just put out the interviews I had with the cast of Resident Alien. It's a great show. They're a fantastic set of people, and it was so loose and so fun. One of the few junkets where I didn't feel the pressure for time. It was great. It was fantastic. I loved it. So you can watch that video on cpluscomedy.com as well as youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can also see a video version of this show alongside video versions of the other podcasts that you can subscribe to. The Constitutionals podcast, which is the entertainment business news podcast, and the LinkedIn Logs, which is the job podcast, where I try to get a job. You can follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at C Plus Comedy, me, at Chad Black White, on all of those. Rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends, and we're doing the best we can. Here we go, baby.